So today's show is an ongoing discussion and conversation that we've had over a series of different episodes dating back almost 8 years ago. I believe we should have the difficult discussion all the time, without judgment, without condescension, and with the implementation of objectivity. We have to be objective, when having these types of conversations. It's important. This show is about religion. Everybody is afraid to have this conversation and this discussion because we've been programmed in such a way to just be followers and not researchers, to just be followers and accepting and believers without being inquisitive. I think we have to be inquisitive if we really want to have an in-depth relationship with what we call God. Today's show is going to be powerful. It's going to be insightful. And it's not designed to offend or disrespect anyone's belief. It is designed to get you to think, to challenge everything you thought was true. If we don't do that today, we failed at our mission. I respect religion, but at the same time, I understand that there's a broader understanding, and it can be had if we endeavor to go deeper. On the next So What Morning Show, we'll be talking about the God Fraud Show. Bible flaws versus flawless Bible. We got to have this discussion. I encourage you to tune in to tradiov.com, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And let's have this discussion. And after it's over, let's continue to have this discussion. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you shortly. So what? Out.
On that. Give me some volume. Where will I go? I'm gonna tell you where we're gonna go today. A lot of people gonna be challenged by today's topic. Just let it ride. Just let it ride. She's gonna take us in. Listen. For everybody who supported the rebirth of seeds, I still got packages to send out. Okay? So your packages are coming. I sent out a whole bunch last week. But in the event that you do not get your package, please email me. Here's my personal email address. 2319 Z as in zebra, O as in Oscar, number 1 at gmail.com. 2319zo1 at gmail.com. People be reaching out. Did you send my package? I know I didn't send a package to Drizzy Sizzle, so I don't even know who that is. Right? Drizzy Sizzle. I don't know. But email me, 2319zo1 at gmail.com. If you haven't received your package, and I will make it my personal bidding to get it done. With that said, we've got books, we've got guests. This is the community empowerment. Woo, that beat is icy. We got somebody in the studio right now. Very, very powerful work. The brother's name is Derek C. Rizzo. The name of the book is The Open Adoption, A Birth Father's Journey. The brother was telling me his story, and it is riveting. Welcome to the show, bro.
Yeah, thanks,
Please give us a really quick synopsis of the hell you had to go through that birthed this book. Amazon.com, by the way.
Yeah, well, man, it's a deep story. When I was 18 years old, it was an unplanned pregnancy. My girlfriend, she was 18, star basketball player. I'm a star basketball player, cross-country athlete, track. She's 2 months pregnant when she told me, and we didn't know what to do. Then 5 months came around. She still didn't tell her parents. I didn't tell my parents. We just told our teammates. She's 5 months playing in a state basketball playoff game, diving on the floor. And then after that game, that's when her sister found out that she was pregnant and told her parents. And then once that happened, everything turned. And she came to me in my dorm room and just crying, saying, we have to give him up for adoption. That's what my family's telling me we have to do.
Wow.
Or else they're going to disown me.
And the girl was a white girl.
She's a white girl, yes.
They had a problem, not only
that's the first thing that people think. The family did treat me. I've been dating her since high school, all the way up. I'm at their house. I'm going grocery shopping with the mom. So it wasn't, I don't think it was a race thing. It was, she's a star basketball player going, a scholarship, and they were just thinking for her future.
So tell me a little bit about your interfacing with your son after all of these years.
It was a long journey to get there. So
and the lie that was told.
Yeah. So basically in the open adoption, we were getting pictures and letters throughout his life, and he was supposed to know who we are. So the adopted mother, Jackie, her name is in the book, fictitious name. Jackie was sending me these letters saying, hey, Ethan said your name today. Your picture's on his wall. It'll be there forever. These are the things that I'm getting, and I'm writing him back, telling him, hey, this is what I'm doing today. So this happened for 12 years straight, and on the 13th year, I found out that they lied. They never even told him he was adopted.
So he didn't even know you.
He didn't know me. He never heard of my name.
And the relationship is still strained.
And it's still strained. It's a way that I get to him. I finally search for him, and then he ends up knowing.
And the only way you were able to find him was because of a unique spelling of his name.
Through the grace of God. I give God all the glory. When I was 18 years old, I sat there and signed his name and said, can you please keep his first name? We're not allowed to know the last name or where they live. But they promised me, and they kept that promise. And then when I spelt the name, Ethan, his name is in the book. So, for example, Ethan spelled with a Y. And Ethan's not spelled like that.
Right.
So I spelt it, and my girlfriend said, why are you spelling it that way? And I said, why? Because God's telling me, what if one day we need to search for him? And then that's
it's interesting.
Happened.
You were telling me during the break that the birth mother doesn't really want to know him and doesn't want to be connected to him, but you do.
Yeah, the birth mother, after 2 months, she stopped the agency from getting letters and pictures while she was in college. She couldn't take it. She said, I can't take it.
Wow.
So I went ahead and kept my promise and kept sending letters and pictures and being a part of his life, which the letters never got to him.
The Open Adoption, A Birth Father's Journey, based on a true story. Derek C. Rizzo. You really got to go to Amazon.com right now. Call to action. Purchase this work. Very powerful story of a birth father's journey. Listen, I don't bring a lot to you, but when I do, I need you to support it. I need you to run there, get it, and get this perspective. This is a powerful work. I will be reading it myself. The brother autographed it to me. Thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story. Now, on to the homie. Sean Collison. The 7 Keys to Love. Unlock love on purpose. With gratitude, happiness, and more sex. Listen to you. What we got cracking in this book, brother? Talk to us.
Man, I'm just talking about Azo. It's good to see you as well, man.
Always, man. Always.
Ultimately, I do on a daily basis divorce, custody, child support issues.
Yes.
So what I've found is that ultimately there is an A game in town. And if everyone had more gratitude, forgiveness, appreciation, and understanding that we all operate on the same accord. So the 7 Keys to Love is designed to help those looking for relationships, in relationships, or to enrich their marriages and have success, and also a way to learn how to communicate.
Wow, wow, wow. Hey, and they could get this where?
Amazon.com. The book is available. Just type in the number 7 Keys to Love on Amazon.com. I have videos on the website at 7keystolovebook.com. Amazon.com. Write a great review. Make sure you go. If you have any questions regarding the 7 Keys to Love, divorce, child support, or custody, send me an email. Get to your boy Zoe. A friend of Zoe is a friend of mine.
Hey, and that's real. He's taking care of a lot of cats who are in, dire straits, dire situation, myself included. He knows what he's doing. He cold with it. Y'all got to support him. And this is my copy, right?
Yes.
He didn't want to give it. Did you hear that?
Zoe is accurate on what he's saying. I gotta tell you, Zoe's listeners and viewers are the most loyal viewers and listeners that I've ever come across. And as a matter of fact, I have helped and been of service to a lot of Zoe's listeners and viewers, and they keep in contact with me and help negotiate and strategize when they're dealing with child support issues, problems, issues with the other parents, and we resolve a lot of issues. So Zoe's show, I want everyone to really understand, it is an effective program. You guys are listening to something that is really effective, and I just want to congratulate you for being a supporter of the Zoe Williams show.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. I really do. And I appreciate the fans. Y'all know the family. Bobby Glanton Smith, Real Men Don't Play, at realmendon'tplay.com. Go get your copy right now. Please support the brother's work. Just Listen, my co-author is a co-host as well. Dr. Mark Goulston. He's an international best-selling author. Guy doesn't really have to be here. He wrote the the foreword to my second book that's getting ready to come out, The Relationship Dismount. How to Stick the Landing When Leaving a Relationship. Very powerful book on breaking up. Dr. G wrote the foreword to that. Please go continue to support the guy's movement. We Juice. Please support the We Juice movement, black-owned business. The brother juices and puts together all of these different products for our health. We don't even want to talk about diabetes and heart attacks and all of that stuff and obesity in the black community. This brother has a nutrition-based business. Go to wejuice.com. Very, very powerful platform the brother has, and I want to continue to support it here. Also, because we're doing a show on God today, I want you to go to cdbaby.com and get the CD lecture that I put together a couple of years back called The God Class Volume 1. You can get a digital download right there at cdbaby.com. Street Scholar, The God Class Volume 1. This is a lecture that I did. It has music. It has meditative sounds to it. But I am walking a young man through the process of understanding religion and all of that. It's very powerful work. Go there right now, The God Class Volume 1. Also, blackmastery.com. We're going to challenge your beliefs today, so we need a belief buster in your life. This sister put together a neurolinguistic program narrated by Iyanla Van Zant that uses subliminal suggestion to undo negative beliefs that are black-centric, that are exclusive to black folk. What? It's that powerful. Please go there right now, blackmastery.com. Also go to urbanroyaltees.com. Brother sells t-shirts. Go to ramomart.com. Another brother sells very beautiful culture-specific based t-shirts. Look at that. The Egyptian t-shirt, Protected by Horus, is what that's called. The Wings of Horus, which predates Christ. That is the Egyptian version of Christ, Protected by Horus. Very beautiful stuff that the brother does. Also go to hiploose.com. You saw me last week in my suit with the bow tie. I was icy hot. Hip Loose are the guys who designed it, who tailored it. And I'm coming with my own line of clothes called the Line of Succession, presented by Zoe Williams. And all of the suits you see me in, they will be available through my line of clothing. Tailor-made stuff. You got to support it. AriseHospitality.com. The Black Staples, Black Office Max. Easy Boy Web. My website is down right now because Easy Boy Web is redoing it. It's going to be fly up in a couple of weeks. So listen, we got to run. But when we come back, the topic, guests, it's about to be off the charts. Hey, if you uncomfortable, we're doing our job, and that's the purpose of this show. We're going to think today. We'll be back in 2.2. Trust me. Crazy one on the way.
Right about now, we're into the last one for the Cliffs and Die. So I want everybody to make some noise for the Cliffs and the Die! Stand up, power, the number, time, the different time, the mind, the way. Stand up, power, the number, different time, the mind, the way. Have a living, leave it apart, head with a bar, run us off, bring some time, and go on top. Why we do that? We go, die. Who did he take this? Die. Who did he take this? Die. Who did he take this? Bring some time, and go on top. Let's take up another one, go. Let's take up another one, go. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go. Yeah. Represent now, where you representing? Where my drummer might go? Hey, hey, where my drummer might go?
And one of the greatest tragedies in life is getting to the end of your life and looking back and realizing it was mediocre and it didn't have to be that way. The number one reason is people are unwilling to listen and care about what's important to the other person. But what if you could be someone who dared to care about everybody in your life? When you're in love, smoke gets in your eyes. But when you're anxious, you talk more than you listen. I asked my wife a month ago, I said, I don't know whether to have an affair or buy a motorcycle. And she said, if you have an affair, I'll kill you. If you get the motorcycle, you'll kill yourself. Go with the bike. So read my lips. God didn't create man. Man created religion. And the reason for it is because there's no such thing as human nature. All there is animal nature and the human potential to rise above it. But long ago and far away, and it's getting even reborn now, is that more and more people don't know how to rise above their animal nature. And I think there were some wise people way back when who said, unless we find some way to give them a step to pause, everybody's going to kill each other, and we're going to be like animals. It's going to be survival of fittest, and we're all going to go down. So I think man needed to create religion to enable them to try to develop, to maximize their human potential for not acting from their animal, because there's no such thing as human nature. And again, I'm not here to offend people who think the reverse, that God created man. I think it's one of those chicken and the egg things, and all those chicken and the egg stories, it doesn't really matter, which came first, as long as it's working for the betterment of everyone.
And with that said, the doc has set us up for today's show. The topic: the God Fraud Show. Bible flaws versus flawless Bible. Has the dawn of reason rendered all holy books obsolete? Right? Has technology really taken the spookism out of religion? Because when we didn't know, we went to God. But now, knowing is a part of how we interface in life. You see little kids playing with iPads and knowing how to use them and navigating the internet and getting information, right? Things have changed. So with that said, I like to prepare us with questions. But before I get to my questions, I have some book selections that I want everybody to go get, right, and read up on this topic. The Dark Side of Christian History by Helen Ellebree, right? Please go get this book, The Dark Side of Christian History. We have others. Ancient Egypt, The Light of the World, Volume 1 and 2, Gerald Massey. He has several books, man. Several incredible books. Gerald Massey, you guys got to get those books. Religious Literacy, What Every American Needs to Know and Doesn't, by Prothero, Stephen Prothero. published by Harper One, 2007. This is a great book. Religious Literacy. Please go get that book. The World's 16 Crucified Saviors.
Wow.
By Kersey Graves. The World's 16 Crucified Saviors. Please get that book. Sons of God. Buddha and Christ Unveiled. Please. Krishna, Buddha, and Christ Unveiled. Woo! You think these books are... Here's another one. Caesar's Messiah. The Roman Conspiracy to Invent Jesus.
I'm sorry, I'm going to need you to repeat that.
Caesar's Messiah. The Roman Conspiracy to Invent Jesus. Another book. It's important that you fortify your library with this knowledge. Fire in the Minds of Men. Origins of the Revolutionary Faith. Matrix of Power. Jordan Maxwell. And finally, the book your church doesn't want you to read. Tim C. Leadham. Leadham is spelled like freedom. Leadham. Okay, books out the way. Back to the questions. This is an honest question. Right? Is it the preacher's job to keep the congregation in a state of dependency and self-pity?
I'm a hustler, baby.
I'm just asking. No disrespect. We don't want to disrespect anybody. We want people to think deeply here today. How can black men and women truly reach their full potential in this life when most of us are still participants in a Ponzi scheme that involves the use of a staunchly rigid hierarchy? Different ones, whether it's social programming like religion, education, and employment. How can we ever, right, reach our full potential when there is an authority and a hierarchy in every aspect of life that tells us what's right for us? Right? I'm just asking. How is it even possible? It's all, and if we look at all of those institutions, they're fortified by God. Our relationships are fortified by God. Men have the egoic stance that I'm the leader because God said so. And none of us ever question. Right? None of us, listen, if you're a follower of a belief system and you're not a theologian, you're not really a follower. Right? I mean, followers know what they're following. I need to know what the shepherd looked like. You can't be a sheep and blind. Oh, God. Jesus, I know it's hard. But we have to ask these questions. Who asks the humbling question of what if I'm wrong more often? The religious person, whether it be Christianity, Judaism, Islam, the scientist, or the atheist? Who asks that question more? What if I'm wrong? We rarely see the self-righteous religious person say, what if I'm wrong? Right? Because in being in alignment with a belief system that tells you you're doing right, right? And others are doing wrong because they don't believe the way you believe, puts you in a judgmental kind of mindset. So when do you ever get to the point and go, I could be wrong? Who asked that humbling question more? I don't know. I could be wrong.
I will see you in hell.
When was the last time you seen your pastor say that? I could be wrong. I'm just saying. When was the last time you seen your imam, right? Your imam for Islam, right? Or your kohen for Judaism. When was the last time you seen him say, I could be wrong. I don't really know what this book is saying. I'm using the best of my ability, discernment, my feeling for it, whatever. Would he lose his flock if he said that? 855-878-4652. 855-878-4652. Again, I'm taking phone calls too. You guys got religious questions, you can call in and ask us. We're going to try to do our best, right? Got you. We got one of our special guests is online right now. The Pope and selling indulgences.
You got the Pope on the line?
No.
Oh.
No.
Shit,
There we go. Welcome back. Welcome back, Jeff. I'm just saying, is it possible to sell forgiveness and pardons? And if our religious beliefs are based on hierarchies, then it would make sense that every other aspect of our lives are based on hierarchies too. I got to go to the pastor because he's the intercessor to God, right? Your corporations are set up in a hierarchy too. The CEO sits at the top. He's the God of the corporation. Yeah? Every aspect of our lives is based on a hierarchy. Who set that up? We got to get into this today. Oh my God. The topics are done. I've already laid it out. You know, has science disproved miracles? Can we go into that? Oh, there's so many areas. Why do black people who spend trillions of dollars, we will spend $1 trillion next year, only 1% of that money is spent on books? How much of that goes to Jesus? Wow. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me introduce the panel who's on with us right now. We got the esteemed and suited and booted Dr. Reverend Bobby Glanton Smith.
Oh, my Lord. That's a demotion from Uncle.
Dr. Reverend Uncle Bobby Glanton.
Jesus. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah, Jeff.
And pass the ammunition.
Next to him, we got Dr. Mark Golston, resident Jew science in the building. We love him. We love his information.
That dude right there.
That's that dude. He gonna drop bombs on us today. Next to him, Jeff Brown on off of a 2-week hiatus.
Hey man, it wasn't a hiatus.
He was handling business.
I handling business.
Business.
Handling business at the house. Shout out to. I see we have a new man behind the board. Shout out to Timmy Hendricks back there doing his thing. What's going on, brother?
It's a brother. Yeah, Timmy Hendricks, Jimmy's little brother.
Jimmy nephew.
Or sideshow corn on the cob.
Let me tell you something. You see that? I love that hairdo. That's a hairdo that don't say, you know what? Fuck a regular job. I'm selling incense and pit bull puppies out the back of my car. The one with the ring around his eyes, $50 extra.
Oh my God.
My
And
man.
on the line, on the phone line today, who's going to join our panel? Dr. Reverend Phil Valentine is on the phone. We're going to get some science out today.
Yeah.
We're going to deal with some science today. Phil, you on with us, brother? We'll get him when we come back. He's on the line, though. We're going to get him when we come back. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take phone calls. We're going to take information. We're going to deal with God today. Holla at you in a minute.
In the presence of his grace, and I say it to his face, the preachings of his church are responsible for the death and suffering and misery of millions of his brother and sister Africans. And he should apologize for it. He should show some shame. For condemning my friend Stephen Fry for his nature. For saying you couldn't be a member of our church. You're born in sin. He's not being condemned for what he does, he's being condemned for what he is. You're a child made in the image of God. Oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman. It's obscene. And it comes from a clutch of hysterical, sinister virgins who've already betrayed their charge in the children of their own church. For shame. For shame.
The crucial point of confusion is that we have been sold this meme of Islamophobia, where every criticism of the doctrine of Islam gets conflated with bigotry toward Muslims as people.
Right.
And that is it's intellectually ridiculous. Even it gets.
So hold on, are
conflated with
you
racism.
the person who understands the officially codified doctrine of Islam? You're the interpreter of that, so you can say, well, this is.
I'm actually well educated on this topic.
I'm asking you. So you're saying if I criticize you're saying that Islamophobia is not a real thing. That if you're critical of something,
well, it's not a real thing when we do it.
Right.
Well, no,
it really isn't.
I'm not denying that certain people are bigoted against Muslims as people,
Right.
and that's a
That's
problem.
big of you.
But the
But why are you so hostile about
because
this
it's
concept?
gross. It's racist.
It's not. But it's so nuts.
It's like saying those stateless, shifty Jew.
You're not listening
Absolutely
to
not.
what we are saying.
You guys are saying if you want to be liberals, believe in liberal principles like freedom of speech, like we are endowed by our forefathers with inalienable rights, like all men are created equal.
Ben, we have to be able to criticize bad ideas. And
of course we do. No liberal doesn't want to criticize bad ideas.
But Islam at this moment is the motherlode of bad ideas.
Jesus.
So we have
That's
ideas
just a fact.
like blasphemy.
It is
an ugly thing.
Apostasy.
It is
basic liberties of apostasy.
Or how about the more than 1 billion people who aren't fanatical, who don't punch women, who just want to go to the store,
wait a second. Wait a second.
5 times a day, and don't do any of the things that you're saying all Muslims
wait a second.
stereotyping.
Wait a second.
Things, and you're painting the whole group religion with that.
No.
Wow. So is the Arab? I'm just saying, is the Arab the new nigger?
No. No.
I'm just saying, since 9/11. Right? It's not. Arabs know what niggas feel like now, don't they?
Arabs got a custom-made hate suit, but it ain't shit like the one they got made for niggas.
A custom-made hate suit.
Yeah, but it ain't. No.
Listen, our guest is on the line. Let's all get into this topic, man. We got some heavy stuff to cover. Dr. Phil Valentine, welcome to the show, brother.
I appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Man, we got to cover this issue on religion. How is it toxic to the African American community? It appears to me that across society, whenever something is wrong with the society, we tend to get a unique version of that sickness. And religion has played such a heavy part on our relationships, on how we interact with each other. Not to say it doesn't for other folk, but our version of it is always unique, right? Speak to us about some of the problems that religion has had on our community, and then the rest of us will chime in after you lay it out for us.
Well, there are a number of things that you could say right offhand that directly affects our communities in the pocketbook. The church siphons off billions in revenue that could go towards infrastructural building rather than into Cadillacs and Rolls Royces and jet airplanes. You have to know that whenever a people consolidate their resources and actually target a specific issue that they don't have any control over, because they don't have those funds, they become a threat to the presiding force that keeps them in oppression. So what you do is to make sure, as it has been done over the last 10 years, that priests now practicing the so-called religion of Christianity goes to ordination through the IRS. So the IRS is the one who ordinates or ordains sisters now, and they fly the flag in their school and in their church. So when they found out that the church was actually being used as the Underground Railroad for not only bodies but for the minds of African peoples, they made sure that they had to infiltrate that church. So after the so-called war of the North and South had stopped, and that Sister Harriet Tubman was no longer working as a spy for the North, and everything had stopped, the church that used to be a segue for us to get out so that we would start singing these hymns that were actually ways of coded messages, like wade in the water, God won't trouble the water, that type of thing. So stay close to the water where the dogs won't smell you, that type of thing.
Wow.
And follow the stars and so forth. So what happened now, because that dried up, black folks who were stuck at the time when everything stopped, when the railroad ground to a halt, they just stayed in the church and began to actually acclimate to an environment that really was alien to them at that time. So they had no place else to go.
So, Dr. Phil, Geoff, Bobby, Mark, where is the codified messages now, today? Because we are still in peril. Where are the codified messages today? Geoff?
They are in hip-hop music. They are in, I say this all the time, Mussolini said this, a nation is only as strong as its secrets. Black people don't have any secrets because we put all our shortcomings to dance music. So there is nothing that there's nothing about being black that everybody don't know. It's stuff about being Jew I don't know nothing about. Stuff about being Mexican, stuff about being... Everybody knows everything about being black that needs to stop.
You got a point there, because Captain Smiley says, well, what we going to do as black people for the next year? And everybody get up on stage to get their 15 minutes of fame and tell everybody what our plans are about.
Thank you.
And you know what's interesting? My perspective, and then I'm going to throw it to Bobby really quickly. You know what's interesting? I see religions in the same light I see sororities and fraternities.
Absolutely. Or bowling teams.
Right? Because what it's about is relations and connections. Relationships and connections. It's not really about spirituality. Because you'll have some people that say, I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. And this wise brother from the hand of Ifa, I was talking to this brother, his name is Baba Femi. He said, the people who say they're spiritual but yet don't have a ritual can't call themselves spiritual, because ritual is in the word. What rituals are you doing? And Christianity doesn't have any rituals, really. Go ahead.
I got a question for everybody. How important is it to believe in something versus believing in nothing? And if we should believe in something, what should we believe in?
That's great. That's a great. And let me give you my answer, then I'm going to throw it to Dr. Phil Valentine and Bobby. My answer to that is, believing in something is like taking credit for a painting that's already painted. Believing in nothing is, at least you start with a blank canvas, and whatever is in your mind can be put on the canvas. I tell people this, my concept of God is a living canvas, and your thoughts are the tapestry. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whatever the thinker thinks, the prover will prove. Thoughts are constructive and creative. And if you haven't challenged the thoughts that are already pre-programmed in your being, then guess what that leaves you? That leaves you a societal robot who is reacting or reenacting something that was already put in you without challenging it.
What's interesting about this, I wrote my book on listening, and one of my favorite quotes comes from a British psychoanalyst, and he said the purest form of listening is to listen without memory or desire. And what he meant by that is, when you listen with memory, you're listening with a past personal agenda that you're trying to plug the world into, and when you listen with desire, you're listening with a future personal agenda, but you're not listening to what the world is and its essence that it's trying to communicate to you.
Bobby G?
The longer I live, the more I believe in spirits and spirit. And I say that in this construct, growing up in a small town in Tennessee, and being immersed in the gospel, so to speak, growing up in church and all of that, and being taught to fear God, went along with the program most of my adolescence. And as I began to question organized religion based upon the practitioners of organized religion, I evolved more into a spiritual being who believed in a spirit, because I can't get away from the fact that there's just too many complications to the human experience that I can't explain, but exist. But for the grace of something, go I. Because I've been in so many situations where I lived and other people perished that I cared deeply for. And I've seen situations turn overnight from good to bad, bad to good. And there's a force out there that governs, I think, indiscriminately. In other words, I don't think God is punitive.
Ah, yes.
You see, I really don't believe that. How could you be God and punish innocent people? You see some people that they work hard, they go through all these changes, and they never seem to get a break. And to me, that's the forces of the universe in play.
Right.
As opposed to the construct of religion, quote unquote.
And we're about to take a quick break, but before we do, let me give a correction. Christianity does have rituals. However, if those rituals are the remix of your culture's history and not the actual rituals from your culture, you're under the revised version of what was really yours. And listen, Dr. Sebi came in here once and told us black people aren't eating the food that black people were eating when they were in Africa. And so they're taking on sicknesses that don't belong to them. I believe when you practice rituals that you didn't write that you didn't create, you're going to take on a spiritual sickness that doesn't belong to you either. So listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to go deeper with Dr. Phil Valentine and the So What Morning Show. Let's go. God fraud. Let's holla.
I understand we need to move beyond color. I'm not about that, but y'all raised it. If you start it, I'll end it for you. Don't start nothing, it won't be nothing. But we got a problem. Black people got a problem. Now we can move to color blindness and always look at the man by the content of his character, never the color of his skin. I'm down for that. You get my vote. Yay and amen. I'm for that. But before we get there, we need to hear some truth. Black people and white folk. Black people got a problem. And it's a God problem. When black people see the world, I don't care. You can train them. You can train a black man to be a physician. You can train him to be an astrophysicist. You can train him to be a lawyer, but you can't train him to understand the world. He doesn't know. I'm telling you. There's not 2 cents worth of difference between a mass murderer. There's not 2 cents of difference between a petty thief that's locked away in prison than a black doctor when it comes to understanding the world. Listen, you listen to me. We got to deal with this. And we need to begin to acknowledge it, talk about it, ask God to help us, because only God can help black people where they are. Black people had Africa, that big old continent over there. They never built one boat that was seaworthy. Not one. There's not one monument in Africa, in all of Africa. I know you're talking about Egypt. Egypt is not Africa. There are no great cities that were built. Even before the first colonization of white people coming to the shores of Africa or the slave ships, black men built nothing. No sewer system, no houses above one level, and none of them made out of stone. All of them made out of grass and wood. Black men, before the white man ever got to Africa.
Now, listen.
In the entire hell.
Now, listen. This dude is powerful.
There's a hole in time.
No, this dude is powerful. He has a tremendous following. He even has the 3 letters behind his name, PhD.
Poor, hassled, and depressed. Check this out.
And he's teaching this.
This dude here.
If there's a hell below, he's definitely going to go.
Dude, there's a hole. This is my only proof that there's a hole in time. And somebody reached through back to 1805 and got this shade tree house nigga here and pulled him forward and said, here, we need you to talk to some more folk because they are awakening. I need you to put them back to sleep. Go.
Dr. G had a question during the break. Dr. G, go, and then we're coming to Valentine.
Yeah, Bobby said something about organized religion, and the question I have is that many people say, I'm against organized religion, and I'm just wondering if a group of people can stay organized for good without a crossing over and getting corrupted by greed or some thirst for power. Because it seems like when you hear the word organized, it should be neutral, but it seems like it turns, towards the negative and the hurtful. So I'm just curious. I don't know what the answer is.
That's a good point. Doc, Bobby, you wanted to answer that, and then we're going to Dr. Valentine.
Well, I think there's a very important relationship between organized and organic. And if we trended more toward organic, we'd have less problems with organizations. Because if there's something common that we have is that we're born to die. All right. And there's some other commonalities. If we built along those lines that would survive universally, all this other divisive things that we run into, then we wouldn't run into the problems that we face when we deal with religion in this organized form.
And typically, whenever something is organized, it's organized along a linear path. One thing about spirituality and relationships too, it's non-linear. There's you can't you understand what I'm saying? I have a goal to get to God. No, you are God and have been God every when and every now. Do you understand? Like, you don't have to get to what you are. You've been that. And even your scriptures in a rudimentary way will validate that if you were reading it for that purpose. Remember, whatever the thinker thinks, the prover will prove, and you've been programmed to be not only a sheep, but one who is blind. So you can't even see the shepherd, but you're so willing to follow the shepherd. Valentine, talk to me.
You talked about belief. I took a belief as a form of conditioning, a form of preemptive consent, something that has to do with a conceptual reinforcement, along as you were speaking so eloquently about linearization of an idea and a behaviorism. So when we talk about we believe in Jesus Christ, pretty much most of us, if we were raised in a Christian house, came up with that belief, not knowing anything else. And if they did not have any exposure to any outside catechisms or any outside cultures, that's all their world would know. And so Christianity tends to set up its own antibiotics, its own defense mechanisms by telling you that if you were to stray outside of these constructs, these belief constructs, then you are imperiling yourself. So they kind of put danger signs where there never really was dangers. And so we are headed toward, like you say, sheep. And what is a sheep except the ass of the other sheep in front of it? And it doesn't know anything beyond that. So I wanted to touch upon belief as being a kind of a conditioning process that the environment reinforces each and every day, television, through your mama, through everything. Now, if you come into an understanding and overstanding based upon first-person experiential realities, we don't have a first-person experiential reality. That's spiritual. We only are dealing with a second person, a second-place referential reality, which is some guy called Jesus is supposed to be giving us some kind of vicarious atonement through us believing in him. So we in the African community or in this society alone are only conditioned through secondhand experiences based upon hearsay, what we hear teachers say, what we hear mama say. But when we leave all of that, which we are told not to, which we are made fearful of, we come into a first-hand experiential reality, which then now becomes something that you touch with your microbes, with your own atoms, with your own molecules. Wow. Christianity, religions, and so forth is always about imposing a second-hand experience on you, and you now, because there's nothing else to experience beyond that, you now accept it as a first-person reality.
Wow. They make the intercessor all important. I'm going to go to Bobby right after this quote from my favorite philosopher, J. Krishnamurti. One is never afraid of the unknown. One is afraid of the known coming to an end.
Indeed. Indeed.
Bobby, speak on that.
Well, what I do know is in 60 years, I've come to one basic conclusion. That is, there's only two principles that are irrefutable, right and wrong. And innately, I think I can always say that at some point beyond the age of enlightenment, I knew when I was doing right and I knew when I was doing wrong. Now, however I shaped that and molded that or qualified it or disqualified it, somewhere inside of this body, this mind, this spirit, this soul, I knew when I was doing right and I knew when I was doing wrong. And I can remember when I first questioned formal religion, it started with Jesus and the story, the biblical story of Jesus. And the inconsistencies with what Jesus did, allegedly, and what the practitioners were doing.
Right.
Jesus had a craft. Jesus had compassion. And he didn't pick a day of the week to practice his craft or his passion.
But you know where the confusion comes, Bobby? You just hit on something very powerful. And it speaks to the point you made before. Jesus was compassion. Jesus was forgiveness.
Love.
But his daddy was punitive. And if God is punitive, how then can the parishioners that follow a punitive God not be? This is why unforgiveness is, and this is how I wrote this in the book, unforgiveness is like a time machine that only goes one way, to the past. It keeps you holding on to it, right? Most of us don't even follow Jesus in the way of compassion.
God
in the way of
damn.
unforgiveness, or in the way of forgiveness. Most of us don't even do that.
Hippity hop, mob stop. Did anybody hear a time machine that only goes backwards? Can you imagine every day you wake up this last week? Oh my God.
That's okay.
That's brilliant.
Thank you.
Please do not talk to me while I'm high. I can't deal with it. I mean, I'm not high right now, but when I'm high, I can't deal with that. Every day I wake up, it's the day before yesterday. Oh my God,
But that's most people. This is why they can't see. We live in a culture that's quick to get over something, but not get through it. No, I'm over it. I'm over it. No, you're not. That wound has a security team that's better than Obama's.
Wow.
Apparently, that wound is protected.
Yeah,
right?
but a lot of people function that way, because when you get deeply wounded, you just want to survive while you're getting wounded, and then when you get past it, sometimes you think, I don't know how I made that through. If it ever happens again, I won't make it through.
It'll destroy me.
So a lot of times it's kind of like I wrote a book on PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and I want to redefine it more accurately as re-traumatization avoidance, because a lot of people, when they've been deeply traumatized, all their symptoms afterwards are an effort to avoid being re-traumatized because they think the second blow will kill them for sure.
Wow. Dr. Phil Valentine, do you think that religion contributes to our post-slavery traumatic disorder?
It tends to forgive the transgressor and does not allow for closure. In other words, when we start speaking about closure and we talk about the reintroduction or the revisitation of our trauma, Christianity is constantly telling us about somebody who got their asses whipped and nailed to a cross, and that he was continuing to forgive. And listen, just because you got whipped and nailed and castrated, you can end up forgiving. So then, if you now accept this religion that says that Jesus has absolved you of all sins, just go ahead and dip your face into this water, and I absolve you of all sins. Everything that's going to be happening from now on is within the blood of Jesus. You've been washed in the blood of Jesus. Everything has been forgiven. That's why black folks ain't got one goddamn cent of reparations yet. Everybody else got it, and everybody's telling us, get over it. But now everybody who didn't get over it, the Japanese, the Jews, everybody got reparations for what it is that were done as an injustice, so that there was closure. But for African peoples, there is no closure, because no one is actually coming to the point where we are addressing those past transgressions so that we don't have to have this conversation constantly every time.
Wow.
Black folks are having this conversation because we have no closure.
Wow.
And we don't seek closure now because we've been washed in the blood, not of our ancestors anymore, but of Jesus Christ.
Wow. Wow. Listen, we got to take a quick break. Before I go to break, Krishnamurti, another quote. Apply this to your religious view, how you see religion. Religion causes us to be very judgmental, very black and white, right or wrong, good and bad, left and right, God and the devil, good and evil. The ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. Seeing things for what they are, not for what we think them to be. Oh, this might be good for me. How many times have you found out that something you thought was good for you was actually toxic? Just because it felt good didn't actually mean it was good for you. And converse, just because it felt badly doesn't necessarily mean it was bad for you. Again, you can't just break life down into some linear black and white movement. Everybody likes to do that, but guess what? That tends to attract the conflict you're seeking to avoid. When we come back, the God Fraud Show continues. Hot heat! We'll be back!
Oh my God, how he has a rap career is beyond me. I don't get it. And he takes his shirt off. Oh my God, he looks like 50 pounds of chewed Tootsie Rolls with his. All right. Now, you are in white fashion. You know white boys always leave the house like they finna help somebody move. Resist and defend the horrible hoes. There are some horrible people. And what you need to do is start policing your own. I want to start this out with shout out to Tim Alexander and his family in the passing of his father. Love out to y'all, comfort out to y'all, rest in peace to his father. With that said, religion. I was carried in church as a baby. Come on, you got to search far and wide to find a black atheist. We all have been indoctrinated with this. My problem became, as I like to say, most black people are born Christians. It starts to unravel when they learn how to read. People wonder why is your church, why does the IRS give your church such breaks, especially when they have 25,000, 30,000 members. This is a reward for keeping 25,000 physical people on point asleep. When you look at I get into this all the time. Shout out to my mother's friends who watch the show, who cannot stand me, who squirt blessed oil out of riot hoses every time I come around. Yeah, I get sprinkled. Show me the zodiac. Show me the zodiac in the Bible. It's all through the Bible. 12.
Job chapter 38, verse 31.
Okay.
Amos chapter 5, verse 3. Job chapter. It's there.
It's there. It's all there. It's all there.
They left it untranslated.
Exactly.
Meseroth. Get your concordance, lexicon, Arabic, English, and Hebrew lexicon, Meseroth. Look it up. It's the Hebrew word for zodiac.
Well, here's what's going to happen.
Sorry.
The next time we all get together, especially since you light-skinned with green eyes, they're going to love you until you open your mouth.
This beautiful devil.
Yes, Jesus is number one. No, actually, he's 11th. There are 10 stories that predate Jesus. Your very Bible that you love, but you denounce Egyptian mysticism. It's made up of that. How do I know? I went to Egypt and I read the book from cover to cover, something that black people don't do. Read the whole Bible. Stop at a few spots. I don't know, Ephesians 6:5, where it tells you to obey your master as you would Christ. Isaiah 45:7. I am the Lord thy God. I create good and evil.
Light and dark.
Yes.
All of this is done by me.
All by me. Shout out to the gay couples that for whatever reason want to get married to a God who seemed to invent you just to hate you. Figure this shit out. I'm done.
Wow. We're back in the building. That was his intellectual rant. With slight interruptions, I apologize.
Yeah.
Again, before we get back to the brother Dr. Phil, let me hit you with more Krishnamurti quotes. Tradition becomes our security when the mind is secure, right? Wait a minute. Tradition becomes our security, and when the mind is secure, it is in decay. Your mind, boy, okay, we're going to go deeper. To understand the immeasurable, the mind must be extraordinarily quiet and still. You can only be afraid of what you think you know. I'm trying to tell y'all, religion is not, or God is not something you can practice. Most people say, I'm a practicing Christian, I'm a practicing Muslim. You can't practice being God. You got to be in alignment with Yoda. Coming from Zoda, do.
Alignment you must be.
Do or do not. There is no try.
There is no
You
try.
can't try to be religious. Either you're in alignment with the universal source of all that is, that don't have a name, that don't have a gender, that doesn't have a comprehensible understanding that we can articulate.
Bullshit you niggas are on.
Dr. Phil, speak to us about the vastness and the inability to articulate God and what it really means.
Yes, I had the privilege in my young age to sit at the feet of Krishnamurti, Jiddu Krishnamurti, twice. and it was an awe-inspiring experience. Of course, there was nobody black around me at the time, just me and a whole lot of white young people at that time, and older people. But there are three parts to what we as humans can conceptualize, visualize, as well as internalize. And that is the known, the unknown, and then that variable called the unknowable. We, in the known, or what we believe to be the known, strive and scratch away at the unknown, and in our quest to bring the unknown into the known, we are, in visceral manners, experiencing that which is unknowable. But we are the unknowable. We are the unknowable in its quest to know itself, because being unknowable to any and everything, it is also unknowable to itself. And it is through the known and the unknown that it participates with itself. And our ignorance is part of the deal, because without that gap, there is no bridge, there is no incentive for us to quest in self-knowledge. So when we teach about that, when we bring ourselves into a place where we are questing towards self, where in that Krishnamurti taught that all our thought processes should never be towards outside, because we create thoughts that then become our burden. That every thought that we think, that we believe something is happening because it's happening to us or it's against us or whatever, look at that thought from the thinker's perspective and not what the thinker thinks the other person is thinking and actually attacking them with. So what Krishnamurti is saying is that your thoughts, if you are allowing them to go out of yourself and to take root in something that is an illusion, then you will be trapped in that illusion. But if you, through the observer, curve that thought back to yourself, you will see that it is actually you that is modeling your own world.
Dr. Phil, I gotta ask, man, when are you coming? I dare you to come to Los Angeles and not let us know. I know you don't have time. I know you don't have time to do a free commercial for you. Y'all got to go and YouTube Dr. Phil Valentine, Lucifer. I know you don't have time to break it down.
Yeah, we got time to go into the devil.
Can he go? Oh my God!
The devil is
I don't know, man.
The devil is the greatest scapegoat. The devil is the greatest scapegoat for personal responsibility.
Oh my God! You got to hit
He's the perfect victimhood excuse in all situations. Corey Holcomb just walked in the building. Corey, we talking about God, the God Fraud Show. And we're talking about the Bible, religion, its effect on the African American community, its effect on our relationships, the whole 9 yards.
And
man.
them pimp glasses you got on. Them glasses is pimp.
Speak to us about it, man.
Yeah, if it wasn't for God, right now, I wouldn't be here today. Ain't that what black people say when they get
when they get the award?
Giving honor to God.
They give all the credit to this God, and the main thing I always get into arguments about with my brothers and sisters is I tell them, everything you telling me right now is something that somebody told you.
Ooh.
Yeah. I call them the regurgitators.
You are forcing your family tradition on me. I don't like that.
Oh, listen.
Everything is secondhand.
Right.
That's secondhand.
We got a powerful sister on the phone right now. Before I tell you her name, let me give you another Krishnamurti quote. The constant assertion of belief is an indication of fear. Oh, God.
That's dope.
Come on.
I got Krishnamurti on deck. Now, is she with us? Where is she? Veronica Conway, call us back. We need Veronica on this line. Call us right now, 855-878-4652. Listen, let's go back to our initial conversation.
I claim the devil.
Again, people are afraid of the devil. Listen, you got the word devil. It's English. First, let's go back. Let's talk about belief and faith and all this, man. Belief, the root word is Latin, be lie. To give the lie away as a gift from me to you. Mm-hmm. Right? Middle English, Bellalogian, the lie is a gift from me to you. That produces our English word belief. If you spell it, you see B-E-L-I-E, V-E. The root word of believe is lie. Let's understand that first. The next step is we've misconstrued or misunderstood what faith actually means.
You don't need to believe
the word faith, they use the book of James all the time, the faith of Job, and listen.
No, he slayed me. So
what is faith without works? Right, let me give you that one real quick, and then I'm going to come back to your question. Faith, fact beyond a doubt. The word iman, imani. We name our kids imani. And that's the Arabic misinterpretation of amun, amin. And we end our prayers with that. It means fact beyond a doubt. We got to be able to talk about this stuff. Corey, hit us.
So when I say the devil made me sleep with that woman that I shouldn't have been sleeping with, how am I copping out when I do that? Because I say the devil made me do it, and it make all my lost Christian brothers and sisters sort of have some type of compassion for what I did. I say the devil made me do it. So, but what really made me do it? What made me do it?
A better question. Wow, that's heavy.
Let the doctor.
Family.
What do you say?
If anybody is black folks, if there's any God that any black folks supposed to be following, is Lucifer. Because if you look at the story of Lucifer, he was the first rebellion. He was the first rebel to say no to authority.
Ooh, wow! I spoke on that on a show. Everybody looked at me crazy.
And when you hear people talk like this, brother, it's like the stuff you be thinking you just didn't word it like that.
Look here, man.
No. I always felt that way. Like I was always fascinated by this devil. I'm like,
now
who's
listen,
the devil? He sound like
we got two callers.
He going through my struggle.
We got two callers, and I'm gonna get to them when I come back. But the brother just said something that's powerful. Lucifer, the light bearer, Illuminati, illuminated, Buddha, the enlightened one. Light is associated with knowledge. They've made knowledge evil. So when the knowledge stood up and said, no, I don't believe that, he got turned into the devil. Listen, you can't be intelligent and be a sheep and a follower at the same time. We'll be back. So What Morning Show. We'll be right back.
Round one, fight! Hadouken! Shoryuken! Hadouken! Yatta de! Iku de! Perfect! You win!
We know that the one constant in the universe is change. But why are blacks, in particular, seemingly stuck in a state of non-progress and rhetorical suspension, refusing to accept that our mythological beliefs are simply products of what was introduced to us by our enslavers? Blind faith and logic don't mix, and literal interpretations of the Bible, coupled with excess emotionalism in church, has encumbered our collective abilities to think logically and practically. Believing stories such as Joshua making the sun stand still, along with the story of creationism, has ruined our cosmological understanding.
When they lifted him up, the S-U-N went out, for the S-O-N was on the cross. When they lifted him up, the sun blew the fuse and refused to shine. The moon, blood pressure went up and dripped down in blood. When they lifted him up, the stars had a nervous condition.
Experience where you say you're saved, then there's the fire baptism when you get the Holy Ghost, and that's the tongues thing. And they love to work people over. You've got to like shoot in on this. When you see people gathering around people and start laying hands on and praying with someone, you've got to like come in with the camera too. It's very important because they'll be laying hands on someone and the poor person will be saying, you know, thank you, Jesus. Now this is a person that's already saved, but they're getting the baptism. And someone will be standing there going, you know, and the poor person will be standing there and they're not saying anything. Then after a while, about 4 or 5 more will gather around and they'll start doing the same thing. You know, come on, speak it out, until all of a sudden the person will, you know, get so overwhelmed by the thing that they start going, you know, and the next thing, oh, that's it, you've got it, like they feel good, we got another one, you know. Then they'll go on to the next person.
That's a good sound, boy.
Thank you. Coming from you, I found out where that dove went.
Well, that climax on that dove was it. I like that.
I got that when I was down in Texas.
Wow. Yes. Listen, we got callers. We're all back right now. But y'all see what's happening. Corey, tell me the story on that, bro.
Quick story, man. This girl I know was working for this preacher, and she questioned him because he would take the offerings directly and deposit into his Chase account. And one day she said, do you think this is fair? And he cussed her out and told her to mind her own business. But long story short, he moved to Atlanta because he got a new congregation.
Wow. It's always always a congregation waiting on you in Atlanta, I see.
Yeah.
Listen, we've got Veronica Conway on the line right now. Veronica, you got to weigh in on this topic. Talk to us about it, huh?
Hi everybody. It's great to be here. And so I'll say this. You know, I've been blessed to sit at the feet of many wizards, spiritual masters. Osho says that the priests and the politicians are in cahoots. And so the priests represent guilt and shame, usually over sexuality, and politicians represent the control over your resources. So conscious sex and relating is really the staircase to God. As you were speaking to earlier, though, you said, you know, it's finding the light. Well, light is associated with the orgasm, with the spiritual orgasm. It's kind of the best kept secret on the planet, and it's a thing that's been hidden from us so that we don't come to know our God self.
That's why we be calling.
No, you know what's powerful about what she's saying? And Brother Phil could speak to this too. The kundalini, the sperm in your nut sacks goes up your spinal cord and gets charged with energy, spirit energy from the consciousness. It goes back down. That's the spark of life. And the kundalini, what we know as the kundalini, sex energy and sex magic and all of that stuff, gets taken east and turns into tantric sex. So when we look up the word
Tantric,
whore,
is that a black folks television network?
No, that's centric.
Oh, my bad.
But I'm just saying, what I find is everything that originated black gets turned into the devil.
Right.
The damn Egyptians in the Bible are the bad people.
That's right.
That's evil. When you look at the TV show Supernatural, with the 2 white boys going around helping people, or Constantine, which is the new show with this comic book exorcism.
Constantine,
right?
on NBC.
This guy is using Egyptian symbols that Negro Christians have been taught to fear as evil.
Who should have come in a Chevy? Should have come in a Cadillac. I rebuke you.
So what they've done is took your knowledge of self, your culture, and made it evil, recontextualized it, brought in the dirty Pal Gasol version of Jesus, Cesare Borgia, and told you to worship that while they still hold on to your beliefs, which gives them power. The power that was inherently and ancestrally yours.
I saw these old
Can I speak to that briefly?
Yes, you can. Please.
See, there's a spiritual moment in any deep spiritual walk. There's a moment when we come here, there's a moment where you decide away from yourself and your soul in favor of approval, in favor of safety and survival. And the moment that you do that, the moment that you decide away from your God self, it's usually a moment of terror. And you divide from yourself, and the church goes in and exploits that inner conflict. That's the exploitation.
Wow. Church is like insurance. Insurance is based off of anxiety. What might happen?
Correct.
Church is just
the
like
monster pimp game, man.
Yes.
You're going to pay for what might
You know what? You might get into an accident, and you might go to hell.
Well,
So you might as well jump over on this side of the fence. Listen, we have a caller on the line right now, Nico from Pasadena. You want to ask myself or Dr. Phil Valentine or any other panel a question? Let's go.
Okay. Just wanted to say,
Real quick, Nico.
Nico.
Nico, real quick. Dina Love.
What's going on, man?
Go ahead, Dina Love. I just wanted to rep my city real quick. Dina Love.
Love.
Go ahead, finish.
Well, I thought I had an interesting perspective to add to the argument because I kind of come from the other side of the spectrum. You were talking about like hierarchy earlier in the show, and
yeah,
I was just wondering, like, is there really a hierarchy if there's this relationship with you and God? Like,
say again. Is there a hierarchy relationship with you and God?
no, if it's just you and God, like if you have a relationship and it's just you and God, like is there a hierarchy in that?
And that's a great question. Really, I want to throw it to Phil. Phil, answer the brother's question, and then I'm going to come right behind you, and then the rest we can all pile in. Dr. Phil, you on with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you hear the brother's question?
No, I was on hold.
Okay. His question was, is there a hierarchy between you and God? That's what he said, right? Y'all heard that?
Hierarchy, yes, there is a hierarchy. It's your doer, your thinker, and your knower. Your knower is the hierarchy between you and that concept of perception that you internalize as well as condense into what you call God. But there is a hierarchical thinking process, and it depends on which one you want to focus on and the one that you become immersed in. Do you become immersed into the doer? Do you become immersed into the thinker? Or do you, in that way that Krishnamurti was speaking about, using your attention and your observer, deal through the knower? And through the knower, there is no way for you to be tricked as you are tricked with the thinker and the doer.
Good point. Good point. I tend to think this way. There's only you. Nothing else. There's a higher you and a lower you. The higher you is God. Please understand this. God is everything. So you know what that means? If God is everything, you can't add nothing to him. So it is what it is. There is no predestination. God is. That's what God is. And when you're in your lower self, that's when you're in your weaker self. That's when you're in your weakness. That's when you're in your, I need to know, I need to figure out, I need to understand. But God is you. There is no delineation or separation between you and God. You just have to be able to see it from within in order to access.
Yeah, but you can't pimp like that, see? Okay? We're going to put evil on one side, put good on the other side, and we're going to stand in the middle, and all of y'all are, by default, evil, and then I'm going to charge you 10% to get over here on the good side. That's the way.
The intercessor creates the hierarchy. Corey, take us to break. Go.
In my opinion, when you do whatever you do inside, there's something talking to you. When
Absolutely.
you ignore the side that is moral, it becomes easier to listen to the side that's pulling you down. In fact, you almost can't hear the moral side when you keep listening to the side that pulls you down.
That's it.
Regardless.
Wow. When we come back, Dr. G is going to lay down some heavy Jewish white science on us. We'll be back at 2.2. Holla!
You want the blessings of God? Christian, they're not yours because of the work of Jesus. No. Tithe! Give money and you'll get the blessing. If you don't, nothing for you. What has happened to the gospel of grace? These charlatans have turned it into a gospel of works, and they have put people, wow, have they put people under bondage. This is one of the most disturbing things you might ever see.
Well, I be out walk on this money. Woo! 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 Get some anointing. You put some up here. Woo! Man. Woo! Put some money. Put some anointing on this money. You put something up here. You put. Woo! Prosper. Prosper, I said. Hey. Woo! 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 Glory to God. Hallelujah. Hey! God, your bills are paid.
You want your bills paid? throw money at their feet so they can dance in it. What do you know? It's a prosperity gospel with a string attached. That string is works, and that means it's no gospel at all.
Well, this is my rap about piddling preachers who don't teach scriptures and are really false teachers, money-loving thieves who fleece the flock. That might be painted a lot. But for tithing, they quote Valentine.
That was made for TV.
Dude, no, that's what's up, dude.
Say, man, this is a real situation.
No, wait a minute. That was made for TV. Nobody actually.
Your people are hurting so bad.
They threw money on the stage.
They need answers, and they will accept
and
that
they walk
as
across
one.
the money and then put it into the bucket.
Absolutely.
And let me just say,
I want a church called Fool Fellowship.
Full fellowship. Reverend Corey preaching out of the book of Corinthians.
Corinthians.
So again, let me just say, there are some churches out there that do good works.
Where?
And let me just say, because I mean there are.
Where?
In terms of, like, there was a church my mother went to. And let me just break it down.
Nigga, you can find good in a church.
But no, here the point. The point is, because I'm gonna double it back. The point is, they provided for the elderly. They gave them food. They gave them rides homes. If they needed their bills paid, they can come and say, "Hey, you know, I'm struggling with my cable or my lights,
my money back,
whatever." Right? But let me talk about the dependency of that, because I got to a certain point with my mother where I said I love my mother enough to not try to teach her what I know. Wow. So let me pull back, because whatever comfort or solace this provides for her, I don't want to disrupt it with the truth. Sometimes the truth is the worst opponent you'll ever fight, because it knows all your flaws and it's going to counter all the bullshit you throw at it. That's how the truth works in your life. And
you need to tell him the truth still.
But I did, but I don't want to hurt her. So I just stepped back.
To what end?
But do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
I get that.
So my whole point is, you still don't need an intercessor to do good works in the world. The church has set itself up as the intercessor of your good deeds. I throw money at the church so they can feed the homeless. Why don't you do it? I throw money at the church so I can serve in the community. Why don't you serve in the community?
What the church do? You know how much good we do?
I know drug dealers who bought the entire Chicago public high school basketball team's sneakers.
Shout out to Freeway Rick. Okay,
Ooh.
This cat right here. Okay, I'm gonna tell you when the CIA started coming at him. When he started buying people's houses that was in foreclosure.
We didn't ask you to help the community now. We want to tear it down, not build it up.
That'll
Dr. Mark?
get you locked up.
Right.
Dr. Mark?
That's what happened.
I know.
How much do you think of a lot of the sermons try to drive home to the congregation, you don't belong anywhere, and this is your pay to belong place. Ooh. So if you give us money, you get to be able to belong. And how much of that? How much do you think a lot of people in life just don't feel they belong
anywhere but there?
Yeah, but if you come here and you give us money, you will belong.
Corey?
Well, I'm just saying, like I've said, like what the doc said right there. I've said that in my way. Church is for the suckers who looking for some homies. Because that's all it is. I'm not just talking about the dudes. I'm talking about the women. My opinion of the black church, and people may get mad, it is a place where you hang out and you talk shit after the hustler get through hustling.
Damn.
That's really all the black
and you know
church
what?
is.
I've always said that church in the penal system is the life raft for being locked down. So you got to choose a side. Either you're going to be a Blood, a Crip, a Muslim, a Christian. You got to choose a side when you're in jail.
Oh, yeah.
But what people fail to realize is just because you're on the outside doesn't mean you're not still in prison. So you still got to choose a side. That's the only way you can be perceived as normal. Bobby?
You know, after watching and listening to this conversation today, my question is, how can people justify the discrepancy between Jesus and the story, the biblical interpretation of his life, and how the flock has been misled by the present day representatives of Jesus? For example, he was a carpenter, allegedly, and he didn't have a storefront. right? He went out every day, and administered to the sick, the needy, the shut-in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How do preachers then get to live the life that they live and call themselves in concert?
Is that rhetorical?
Well, let me just say this really quickly.
I got an answer for that.
Because we have a caller on the line. I got to get everybody in, but let me just say this. That was a good question. Let me just say, you can't be misled by the truth. You can only be misled by a lie. And no one in our community is strong enough to stand up and say, what lie have I been following? No one has the testicular fortitude to say, Jesus is a lie in my community. And has been ever since the good ship Jesus brought some of us here. Corey?
I know I can lead a group of people just like Bishop Betty Long, T.D. Jakes. I know I could do it. I can get people to do all kind of crazy shit and give me money, but I believe that there is a higher power that will really bring some type of wrath down on you for taking advantage of the sheep. Taking advantage of the sheep, that's some evil shit, which is what our government does for a living.
And the Hindus will call that karma. Karma means action. You do a good action, you get some good shit.
I protect the
sheep.
sheep.
You do a bad action, you get some fucked up shit. I just believe that. We got a caller on the line, Mr. Grammary from Tennessee. You're on the line. You got a question for Dr. Phil Valentine? I'm letting Phil answer this one. Phil, you ready?
Okay. So it's not well, I guess I can pose it as a question. So how would you guys answer this? Because I pose this to my Christian friends, and they find it very alarming. But I tell them that when it comes, I'm Lucifer when it comes to the truth, and when it comes to lies, I'm Satan. But never will I ever live as the devil. What do you guys think I'm saying when I say that?
Okay, so really,
and is that blasphemous?
So really quickly, I don't see it as I don't see it as blasphemous, but to answer it really quickly, I just see that as a play on words.
Yeah.
See, because I know what each word means.
Exactly, and it's to get them to actually research and study the words they use, because most of them don't even know that Lucifer means light bearer. They don't know that Satan
adversary,
and it's not anybody's actual name. You know? And they don't know that devil comes from the Greek word diabolos, which means false accuser or slanderer.
Right.
So, I don't know, it's just a little thing that I like to do with some of my Christian friends to get them to kind of think and just, not accept everything on Facebook.
Don't you be blaspheming in him.
No, that's good
Christianity is a bullshit, fake-ass religion. Corey Holcomb said it.
Damn! Christ alive. Dr. Phil Valentine, man, we need you to come in here and chime in, man. Oh, Phil is gone? Oh! He hung up. Okay, we're gonna get him right back. We're gonna get him right back. Call him. Make sure we get him right back. Again, I thought that was a great statement that the brother broke down. The devil. And let me just say this. Anything that is intelligent questions. The root of religion, the word religion, look it up. Don't believe a goddamn thing we talking about. The word itself from its etymological root means to bind. I need to control you. So if I control your thoughts, social programming, social engineering, I was going to save this thought for the final thought, but I'm going to say it right now. When you're playing chess, remember the bishop is in the king's court. He serves the king.
He serves at the pleasure of the king.
And what better way to keep people locked into a social structure than to start at a religious base?
Well,
these are the social game rules by which they interface with. Go ahead, Bobby.
We've been top heavy on Christianity, which I want to pose this question. Is it just Christianity that we are having a problem with, or is it religion per se?
Well, in America, dealing with African Americans, it's Christianity.
Absolutely.
But on a global perspective, it's all religions to a certain degree. You go to India, they have problem with fake godmen.
What do you think the need is that religion satisfies across all religions? And
Great
what
question.
would be a better way to fulfill that need so they could let go of that? So what do you think is the need that religion serves in people?
The fear that you are absolutely in control. The fear that it's like it's like being in your own life and waking up in the cockpit of a 747 and you don't know shit about flying.
I'm sorry, it's not intelligent to choose a religion without knowing at least two of them. If you haven't studied this versus that, how can you claim something that you just heard about? That's what I tell all my friends who are Christians.
Right. What do you know about any other religion?
It just makes them mad at me.
Of course.
They just get frustrated.
But
how the fuck can you claim Christianity if you don't know Islam?
Hit a Christian
if you
with
don't
facts
know
and
Buddhism.
logic, and they will hit you right back with warm and fuzzy.
Listen,
That's how they get down.
if they give you false education, why would they give you true religion?
Whoa.
Do you understand? If every aspect of your life is monitored, controlled, metered, and they're not, listen, knowledge is the real currency, not the fake debt tickets.
Knowledge is the new money, baby.
So if I got you chasing the debt tickets instead of knowledge, do you understand? We'll be back. Got to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. We're back in the building. Zoe's final thought. It's important that we cover this. Like I said before, we have to control the narrative, our narrative. If we do not control our narrative like other people control their narratives, right? Native Americans mad at David Schneider, Daniel Snyder, owner of the Washington Redskins. You don't get to call your team the Redskins no more. We're going to take it all the way to civil court, all the way to the Supreme Court. Again, controlling the narrative. Stop accepting the story that somebody said was your story. Okay? Let me just say it again. Please remember that the bishop is still in the king's court, and he follows the rules of the king. Please understand that. Whether positive or negative in its expression, thought is always creative, meaning it's always constructive. As long as you are thinking, you are the architect of your reality. So now you got to question the thoughts you have. And are they an original thought? Right? Or are you living a life that was already predetermined by the social game rules that was waiting on you when you were born? We've got to challenge these things. That's the purpose of this show. It's not to disrespect any one religion, but Christianity is a burden on Black Americans, just like Christianity is a burden on Africans. Desmond Tutu, he said when they came over here, they came with Bibles, and we all prayed. And when we opened our eyes, we were holding the Bible, and they owned the land. Please understand, it's a burden globally, right? I'm asking us to challenge whatever we think we were told as the truth. You're afraid of the devil because you were taught to be afraid of the devil, but you don't know the devil represents knowledge. Who created masonry? Black people, the Moors. We're the ones, listen, Baphomet, the goat of Mendez, Baphomet. Some say it's a phonetic corruption of the word Muhammad, Baphomet, just like they say Mohammed. Oh, but it's a goat. Well, the black people used to worship the goat. It was called Amun-Ra. So I'm going to re-freak your culture and make it evil, but I own it and use it and practice it. And I give you a remix, a diet version of your spiritual belief. So I can keep you disconnected from your belief. Because if I give you your belief, I give you your sovereignty. You can't be sovereign and governed at the same time. I want to govern you. So I must take your sovereignty. The root word of sovereign is reign. Power to do. We don't have power to do. We're Charles Barkley all over this motherfucker. Unintelligent, uneducated black people. Don't you know the best thing or the worst thing that can happen to a good, strong black man is a great European education? Don't you know that undoes him? Wow. Because it strips the knowledge of self of who he really is. Let me keep it going. There are gatekeepers in our life. Part of the gatekeepers will judge you based off of your educational background. Part of the gatekeepers will judge you off of your religious background. The Masons, some of them, quote unquote, worship the light. According to Albert Pike, they said they were Luciferians, those who worship Lucifer, the light bearer. You've been sold what? A narrative of what evil is. What did they call Egypt back in the day? They called it the light of the world. Once the white went into Egypt and took all of the knowledge, the Alexandria Library. Once they took all of the knowledge, they changed the name from the light of the world to the dark continent. Please understand, they took the light out of the continent. And when they took the light out of the continent, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, all of these fools had to wait 20 years before they could get into the mystery schools. Some of them even 40 years before they can get into the mystery schools. We created masonry. Why? Because we created the greatest Masonic feat in the world, the pyramids. Now the pyramid is a symbol of the Illuminati and evil? Yo culture. If we don't get control of our narrative, we're going to have greasy finger, chicken eating, diabetes having preachers up there telling Reverend Rib Shack telling us that Egypt is not a part of Africa. And this fool got a PhD behind his name. Stop worshiping the God that enslaved you. How about it? Give it a chance. See what can come out of it. I know, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I just want to say, man, that's my final thought, and I love you all, but we got to do better. We got to study. We got to show ourselves approved. We can't accept anything that everybody says. We got to challenge everything. We got to challenge the pastor. If your pastor don't speak the language of the Bible, and I'm not talking about King James, if he doesn't speak Amharic, if he doesn't speak Aramaic, if he doesn't speak Ashuric, if he doesn't speak Arabic, Greek, Latin, if he don't know the word, he don't know the word. He don't know. He just know how to behave in a reverend-like way. Ah, Jesus. That's money. That equals bread. We got to do different. We got to do different. We got to be fearless. With that said, that's my final thought. I'm sorry. I'm just turned up right now. Let me do this real quick. Everybody around the table, I want everybody to tell everybody where they at. Starting with Phil. Dr. Phil Valentine, can you please tell people how to connect with you and get your books and get your information and resources? Talk to us.
Will do. And by the way, if he does not know how to speak Medunetia and he does not know the Pertem Heru, which is where all the Bible and all that good stuff
Word of God.
Then, yeah, you need to leave him alone.
Yeah. Medunetter. Please tell him what that is. Medunetter, please.
The Medunetter, that's where the word nature came from. It is the divine word, the word of God, they called it. It is the word, the speaking, the language, the so-called hieroglyphs that you see on the walls of ancient Kemet. It is the language that we're speaking, and we at our university are revising that language. We are bringing it back to life. It's no longer a dead language. It's a living language here at the University of Communication Sciences, and we teach it to adults and to children as well.
Wow.
And if they're interested in dealing with our university, we teach metaphysical psychology, classical naturopathy, and the Medunetia. We also have, for the children's section, which is the Institute for Self-Mastery, we do tutoring for children and homeschooling as well.
Beautiful.
So if you're interested in not only that, our vaccination exemption packages, if you're interested in dealing with nutritional consultations, as well as metaphysical consultations, just call us at 800-847-1291. Again, 800-847-1291, or go to UKSNOW.org. That's U as in United, K as in King, S as in Science, NOW.org.
Thank you so much, brother. We appreciate you. And you know we'll be calling you for another round of this. You know we got to do it again. I appreciate you and everything you do for us, man. Thanks again.
Give thanks, good brother. Take care, everybody. Take care, family.
All right, now. Bobby G, where can they get this book, Real Men Don't Play?
What men have done, men can do. My book reflects the works of some incredible men that you need to know about, as well as your children should know about. You can get it at Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com. realmendon'tplay.com or my website, realmendon'tplay.com.
Corey, where we at today, man?
This weekend, I'll be at the Fort Lauderdale Improv. Twitter is at thecoreyholcomb.com. And everybody who comes out, you will hear about all kinds of information to help you protect your money against whores.
Wow. Wow. And tomorrow, where are we?
We're at the 5150 show. We got it cracking.
Yes, sir.
8 o'clock Pacific time.
It's going to be turned up yet again. Dr. G!
Just Listen is the top book on listening in the world, and it's available at Kindle for $3.99 for 3 more days.
Get it right now. Kindle,
Amazon,
$3.99.
Kindle, Just Listen.
Yes. And, of course, Jeff Brown.
Get Jeff Brown Wrong Ass Shit on iTunes. That is my comedy album. This Saturday, I will be filming the Doritos Doritos commercial competition commercial that will win.
Good job. And again, follow me on Instagram at Mr. Zowhat, on Twitter at Zoe Williams. And again, go to CD Baby right now and get my lecture on God to further your understanding of this conversation. CD Baby, Street Scholar, The God Class Volume 1 is the title. The God Class Volume 1. Go to CD Baby right now and get it. I appreciate everybody, and we'll be back next week with another flamethrower. Zoe Williams, I appreciate everybody that came in. We're going to keep it cracking. Holla next week!
You are watching T-Radio V. Radio and TV.